Hello, Steve White, Steve White 39. Well, a couple of things in the news kind of annoyed me. I wanted to talk about them, but they didn't quite all deserve a separate video. And I thought, well, you can just do one about all three. So the first thing drove me nuts. A couple of days ago, Tucker Carlson, now I think everyone knows who Tucker Carlson is. He's an extreme right agitator. He is just unhinged. And he was on his show because, of course, he's got a show on Fox News because, and he went on this rant about masks. Now, in the past, he has supported mask wearing because, as we know from the science, it does help. Now, it helps more in stopping you from spreading coronavirus than it does from you getting it because, I'm not going to go into all that. But basically, he went on this rant where he was basically saying, because they've sort of said you don't need to wear masks outside because and this is like a revelation to some people, but for most people who have done some research and all this, you understand that you're less likely to get COVID outside because of the environment. Well, this is news to some people, and now they're acting like you don't have to wear masks at all. And now that went from that to this rant that he went on where it's like, if you see someone wearing a mask, go up and confront them and tell them to take their mask off because you're basically abusing me. You're making me feel uncomfortable. You're basically violating my rights by wearing a mask in front of me because it's so upsetting to me to see you wearing a mask. And I'm like, this is a level of crazy I wasn't quite sure would be allowed on TV. He's literally telling his people, millions of viewers, disturbingly he's got millions of viewers and they all do what he says just like Trump. It's kind of scary. And he's telling them to go up and confront and basically assault people who are wearing masks for the audacity of wearing a mask. Now, I understand on some level the crazy right people not wanting to wear masks and saying you can't tell me to wear a mask even though, you're risking people's lives by not wearing a mask because if you get COVID, you're more likely to spread it around if you're not wearing a mask. So by not wearing a mask, you're being selfish because if you get it, you're going to be spreading it to other people. When you wear a mask, you wear it more for other people. So he's basically, if you don't want to wear a mask, okay, I can understand you. I can sort of understand. It's selfish and stupid, but I can sort of understand saying, well, I don't want to wear a mask. You can't make me, it's my right not to. Kind of true. I think you should be on an island somewhere so you don't have to worry about contaminating anyone else with no mask. But I just can't fathom this. It's like, okay, yes, I kind of get that. But to basically get upset about other people wearing masks and imply that that is a violation and that you should or somehow have the right to confront that person and demand or force them to take their mask off is just, it's absurd. It's just, these people are always going on about my rights, my civil rights, my civil rights, and then he says, go out and take it away from other people. Don't allow them to make a choice. Tell them what to do. It makes no sense. It's the complete opposite of what he's normally preaching. He's normally preaching you have the right to your own, rights. You can do what you want. You can't let anyone tell you what to do, blah, 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 And now he's saying, go out and make people conform to what you want. And he went so far as to say, if you see an adult with a child and the child's wearing a mask, that's child abuse. You should call the police on them. I'm not joking. He literally went this far. He didn't quite say, do it, but he said, that's what that is. That's my reaction. This is how you should react. Basically telling people to do it. And I'm like, and I watched the interview 3 times. I saw a segment of it repeated on The View, and I saw an article with it twice, just to make sure I wasn't imagining things, and I wasn't imagining this level of insanity, but it's right there. He said, yeah, if you see someone wearing a mask, confront them. Politely, of course, confront them politely and tell them basically take the mask off because you're offending, threatening, disturbing, upsetting me by wearing it. Basically trying to, and they always go on this, your rights, your rights. It's basically against your rights now for other people to wear masks. They've gone from it's your right to not wear a mask to now it's your right to demand other people not to. Does he want to kill people? Does he want more people to die? A lot of people are still dying in America. I think the numbers leveled at one point. They went down, they went up. I haven't been following it because it's just this ongoing train wreck. I mean, we all see what's happening in India. Apparently, he envies India and wants America to be India now. So that was just bizarre. And as someone who needs protection from coronavirus, the idea that people aren't wearing masks is very disturbing. The idea that someone could confront me, I mean, okay, it's not likely to happen in Australia because we don't follow people like Tucker Carlson that closely, but people here do. The idea of someone confronting me and coming and getting in my face because I'm wearing a mask, it's just outrageous and terrifying. So that's that. I could go on about that for ages, but I want to go into the next issue, which is the Oscars, because it's a small issue. Basically, the Oscars were down this year. They were down to 9.8, so it's, I think, the first time they've ever dropped below 10 million viewers. And everyone's going on, the right wing are going on about, oh, it's all because they've gone left, they've gone woke, they're going broke. I think it might have something to do with the fact that there was no film industry this year because of COVID. There were basically no films released. There were like very few, and they were savage because they were considered to be left-leaning, like Wonder Woman 1984, because she dared to have a character who slightly resembled Trump in the 80s, and dared to basically have some liberal views about, not being selfish, and I'm not going to go to the whole thing. So there's that. Now, the ratings about 7 years ago were like 40 million, and they dropped down the last few years, and the last year I think they were 23 point something, and that was bad enough. I think the year before that was like 26. But it's like, hello, we're in the middle of COVID. They delayed the telecast like 3 months. They actually managed to stage an actual ceremony, but there was no host, there was no big acts, there was no performances, there were no clips. It was just basically people giving out awards, kind of like the ceremonies they had back in the 30s and 40s when it first started. And people are acting like it's. I can understand why this year didn't rate so well. I wasn't expecting it to. I wasn't expecting it to drop below 10, but it was kind of boring because they didn't have any of the things we normally have in the ceremony. That's why they added all those things over the years to make it more exciting, and now they've gone back. So that explains it. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with left or anything, because I don't know if these people have ever watched the Oscars before. I grew up watching the Oscars every year. I haven't watched it for the last 10 years or so, I must admit, mostly because I realise I'm never going to get into filmmaking because my country doesn't have a film industry. We have like a Hollywood backlot, and we have a cottage industry, a government-funded cottage industry just for Indigenous films. We don't really make contemporary commercial films, so yay. I realised that a few years ago and thought, okay, well, I'm not going to be a filmmaker because I cannot move to the US and live there. It's the only way to make it happen. So I haven't watched the Oscars for years because I'm just they just depress me because I'm not going to be on the Oscars. When I was young, growing up, I thought I'd get an Oscar one day. I thought I would be a filmmaker, or at least get to go because I'd be part of a effects team or something like that. So I haven't watched it for years, but there's been a lot of issues with hosts and co-hosts. They've had hosts that did nothing but trash the Oscars, and he's insulting the people who are there, like Ricky Gervais. Everyone on the right was trumpeting him because he was basically trashing all the Oscar winners and all the Oscar nominees and all the actors and the whole industry because he hates them. So why be there? Go somewhere else. That didn't make it any more enjoyable. So I reckon that hurt the ratings. Other people oddly enough, the people who don't watch the Oscars loved him, but yet they don't think that he could have brought the ratings down because the people who watch the Oscars hate him and hate him trashing them. So, and they had the whole Kevin Hart debacle, and there's just there is some politics, and it is affecting the show because it's affected how the show is actually being done with no host and no big musical numbers and sort of being scared of being funny because of the politics. That is hurting the show. But this year, it was the fact there really wasn't a film year. There wasn't really a season. There wasn't really a ceremony. So next year's going to be a lot different if we actually have some films that people have actually seen that they are excited about, and the industry is actually plugging along like normal, back to normal. and they have an actual ceremony with a host or at least some acts, like, 2 or 3 years ago, I can see them doing better. So I really don't think it's this coup. They're all acting like, oh, the Oscars is dead, we're winning the culture wars, go work, go broke. And I'm like, I think it might have had something to do with COVID and not having a proper ceremony, not having like a proper season. But we'll see what happens next year. If the ratings go up, then yes, that makes sense. If they do a regular ceremony, if they stay like this, then yes. If they just go back to how they did it in the 30s and just keep having really slow, plain ceremonies with no bells and whistles, then yeah, it will keep going down. The left thing, I'm not sure, because there is this culture war with the elites and the deplorables, and it's just a mess. Now, another thing, Justin Bieber. He's getting dragged because he's got dreadlocks again, or his hair's a bit matted, it looks kind of dready, but it's not real, like, strong dreadlocks or anything. I don't know. It's a mess. He's got his own little fashion thing going. He's all tattooed and dreaded and whatever, and that's fine, but apparently he's now being dragged for cultural appropriation. Now, as a white person, I feel I have the right to do or wear anything I want, just like I feel any person of colour has the right to do or wear anything they want, whether it's their cultural, historical garb, or if it's like just what the hell ever they saw on someone else. I really think it's ridiculous to say, I mean, if you're mocking someone, mocking their heritage, mocking their traditional looks or something like that, their traditional wardrobe, whatever, that's one thing. But if you're just taking something up because you think it looks awesome and you think it looks good on you, you have the right to. So I'm really not happy with this, because he also quoted Martin Luther King in one of his songs, and people are saying basically he was exploiting him and all that, and he's like, no, I'm trying to, use my platform, my voice to what was the term he used? To project or magnify his voice, basically. I want people who haven't listened to him but listen to me to hear him. I mean, he has good intentions, and they're trashing him. And are these people just trashing him because they love to trash people for the sake of it? Or are they really offended this and they think this is really a problem? I don't know. But I have a real issue with it. I myself wear something I'm not supposed to. I wear do-rags sometimes because basically my hair is a nightmare. It's like really fine and soft and fluffy, and if I keep it short, it's fine. At the moment I have long hair tied back and short on the sides. As soon as it gets long, it becomes like a anemic brown golf tennis ball is what my head is like when I let my hair grow a little bit. And because of COVID, I'm not getting it cut very often. It's a nightmare to do myself. It takes like the whole night to do it myself, so I avoid doing it. So then I have this fluffy head of hair, so I usually wear a hat or a beanie or something. But I discovered a little while ago do-rags, and I'm like, they actually work. And they work really easy and really well. I don't have to wear them all night, and I don't have to use a lot of pressure because my hair is soft and fine. So once I get it to lay down, it just sits there. Sometimes actually if I wear them too long, it gets kind of oily because of my scalp. I don't use product because I also have sensitive skin on my scalp. So I have reasons for using these. But apparently it's cultural appropriation. I'm not supposed to do it because I'm white. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. It's a practical item made by black people because they have difficult hair. And for white people who have difficult hair, they should be able to use them too. And if you want to use them as a fashion statement because you just think they look hot, and I do think they look hot, you should be able to do that too. I think it's ridiculous. It's not, I mean, there's this, like, I guess there's traditional cultural garb, and then there's actual just things that people, like, I guess modern cultural. But I don't see any problem with that. If you want to have dreadlocks, if you want to have braids, I don't see why white women can't braid their hair. I don't understand this claiming we invented this, only we can use it, because that's ridiculous. It's like, well, I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff white people invented. If they turn around and said, well, black people can't wear that item of clothing because we invented it, that would sound ridiculous. And I don't think anyone would say that because white people are capitalists and they like to make money. So they'd be happy if all the black people wore their clothes. If everyone wore them. I don't understand this. So this one is driving me nuts. Because I'm like, I'm pretty sure Bieber's an ally. I'm pretty sure he's not racist. I'm pretty sure he was dumb and he's gotten a bit smarter as he's gotten older. And he's very religious, so he does seem to try to have good intentions and do the right thing. So being dragged because he's trying to, at least with the Martin Luther King stuff, trying to speak about, or before they're calling him, oh, you want to be a white savior. And he's like, well, you can't win. If you're a white person, you talk about black issues or what's happening with black people, you're either racist or you're exploiting them, or you're trying to be a white savior. It's all about you. And yes, those people exist. I've met a couple of white saviors. I've met some people exploiting, some SJWs exploiting, Black Lives Matters and stuff. But there are also people who are white who just are concerned about those issues and want to talk about them because they want other people to, they want open dialogues, they want to start conversations. And dragging those people along with all the others doesn't really help. So that's a big, huge issue. So that bothered me. Tucker Carlson bothered me. The Oscars getting trashed for dropping below 10 million, which is a bit scary, bothered me. But yeah, so I just thought I'd just do a video about them. I get to have my little YouTube therapy rant. And, I need to make up a joke. Like, Tucker Carlson, Justin Bieber walked into the Oscars together and nobody watched. I mean, I think that's going to be my title. Yeah, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Bye.